And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Of course, at this time, we have our friend David Pezzo joining us from the Pezzo Center. Pezzo Financial, as we like to say. Pezzo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin.
You know, we take a look at what happened over the weekend and all this money being spent with the NBA and these draft picks. And you have people as young as 23 years old signing a 4-year, $140, $170 million contract. As someone who lives in the world of money, what are your thoughts on these young people and to some degree, not so young people being given all this money to manage, to try and figure out?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough deal. No, I think it's tough for kids. That's why we have so many problems. And it has led, of course, to all of the professional sports having much more control, or to at least trying to help people have more control to keep away from the, if you will, the hangers-on and the crooks. And so we don't have as many bankruptcies. Remember in the day, it was one NFL star after the other was filing bankruptcy after making tens of millions of dollars. And in that day, that was a lot of money. So it's nice to see that they are put more safeguards in place.
True, but Dave Pezzo, you remember Dave Pezzo at 21 or 23.
Yeah, not capable of $100 million. No.
Right. Could you imagine having, making $30 million a year? By the way, can any of us really imagine what those checks are for like $30 million a year?
Right. I mean, do they actually write a check? It is crazy. Kevin, it is not a healthy thing, undoubtedly, for folks, and I to have that much money at that age, the level of entitlement is off the charts. How is anything special or good after that? So I think that it's a tough deal. It's just the way the world is, and some of the kids really rise to that occasion and do well. Others don't. It's not a great set of circumstances for them.
Well, I don't feel too bad because most of us will never have that type of money. So personally, selfishly, curmudgeonly, I'd rather give it a shot, but it just seems impossible. What do you think these people do? Do they put them in trusts? I mean, obviously the taxes alone must kill them, right?
Well, they do. Of course, it's a 50% tax rate. I know people think that the 1%ers, which clearly these folks are, get away with murder and that that they don't pay any taxes. That's progressive speak. That's not true. And so they will lose half of that money, and that's the tax bracket they're in. There are certain things they can, and I'm sure the tax attorneys will do, but they're going to be paying plenty of taxes, that's for sure.
Well, just let's take a look at that for a minute. I mean, so you make $15 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so half of that is $7.5 million, right?
Yeah, they can scratch by on it.
Something like that. And then the state takes their taxes. Now, I would say if you were an NBA player, you'd have to live in one of the states, regardless of if you win or lose, that has no state income tax. Then you keep most of your money.
Yeah. Of course, they all live. That's like all the professional golfers live in Florida. It's not because the weather's good there.
But you have to live there, I think, 280 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
There is a requirement on that. However, take a look at, let's say you play for the Golden State Warriors or the L.A. Lakers. You talk about expensive to live, but just the California city and state taxes got to be through the roof.
They are. You think about what the kind of salary you're talking about. So let's just call it a $10 million a year.
Well, on the low end is $10 million.
I totally get that. Yeah,
they were talking about DeAndre Jordan, who is a bargain for $10 million a year.
Right.
I wish you and I were that bargain.
That much of a bargain.
Right.
Yeah, I know. So you take a look at that and you're saying, look, that would be $1 million a year going to the state of California. Or you can move across the border to Nevada and it's zero, right? Texas, zero. Florida, zero. And other states much lower. So it does. These states, I had this conversation not long ago, Kevin, with somebody we were talking about at a conference, talking about the fact, because he lived in California, does the state get that wealthy people and all the businesses are leaving because of regulation and taxes, and that the actual amount of people here is stable only because of illegal immigration? And he said, They don't in Sacramento. They just are not getting it at all. They're not changing a thing. It's like they're whistling past the graveyard. They're not paying attention. But the reality is the states are really starting to get it. Illinois, believe it or not, wants to have an exit tax if people leave their state. Crazy.
Well, that is crazy when you look at California, the governor now giving not only tuition but health care to the illegals, free community college for a couple of years. That would be great and wonderful, but as we saw last week with the Democrats' debate, as Dave Petzo says, you got to pay for it.
You do. You do have to pay for it. And the absurdity is that they're thinking that this is what America wants. I want a nanny state. I want everything to be free. I don't want to work. I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to have any incentive. That's not America. And imagine America like that. What would we innovate and create after that? Nothing. Because there is no incentive to do so. Why would you think that we would do anything? So it's pretty crazy. And what about all those people that worked hard and actually paid for college?
That's different.
I want reparations. That's what I want. I paid for my kids. I want reparations.
Reparations for college, but what is it, $1.6 trillion? Let's start with that one because student loan debt is a huge issue. Our great friend Dave Petzo with us, Kevin Miller, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio, talking about your money. So how would that work? Okay, everybody gets free tuition, and it's the last 10, 20, 30 years. If you paid off your college, the government would give you a check. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Where does the money come from? It
doesn't, Kevin. It is crazy, and it's not going to happen because it's so absurd. What do they think? Wave magic fairy dust, and just the money appears. It's just, I don't know why we're in a weird world. It's such a weird world right now where the press doesn't ask questions if you're a liberal. How are you going to pay for that? How is this? There's no follow-up questions ever. It's just give away, give away, give away, give away. But we all know you can't do that. And yet nobody will even follow up with a question. It's just going to be a magic. We'll just tax Wall Street. And then they go into the ramble. Wall Street, they never went to jail. Nobody went to jail in 2008 and so on and so forth, which is really good deflection since the reality is the 2008 housing meltdown occurred because of politicians, not because of Wall Street. Wall Street was able to do what they did only because the politicians forced banks to lend money to people that wouldn't pay it back and rubber stamped all these as AAA paper. It's absurd, and they're pointing the fingers at everybody else.
Indeed, our great friend Dave Petzo joining us here, KIDO Talk Radio. So let's talk about your friend, Governor Little. I saw Governor Little last week, and he was at the God and Country Festival, and we were just talking about his administration and what's going on. Big announcement actually made Fox Business Network. Are you familiar with Fox Business Network?
I watch it once in a while. Okay. You betcha.
There we have it. You know now, and I apologize, folks, for going off speed for a minute. Now, at your place, I at one time was being interviewed by a guy, and I knew he was pretty high speed. They wanted me to run a sports station in Atlanta. Okay. So you would think that he'd have on ESPN and all these other things, right? And instead, the guy had on Bloomberg and CNBC. Mm-hmm. So they're high speed when they have and you've been in offices where they have the ticker tape parade and stuff, with the TVs and such.
Yeah.
We've got, Nickelodeon on here, so it shows.
I Love Lucy reruns,
right,
yeah.
Right, where our priorities are. But do you have that real time at the Petzo Center? Do you have like the TV on and you're watching this?
No.
You're not a TV guy.
I think it's a fantastic, you're correct at that. I think it's a fascinating question, something we talk about all the time for investors, including ourselves.
Okay.
Which, and that is it too much information or too much data? Because it's not information, it's data. It's just data points. And they make up stuff all day long. Hardly anything happens in the world that is really worth reporting. But that isn't going to work for a news network that runs every second. So they do basically babble about nonsense. And you can't have any clarity if you have this constantly coming at you. You just can't.
Sure.
And I know people think that they rise above it. They just like everybody thinks they rise above all of the things in life that suck us all in. And we don't. We can't. You continue to immerse yourself in constant data flow. You can't have any clarity. I'll give you a quick example, if I could. If we don't to stop and walk away, then all you ever hear is that the economy is slowing, that things aren't good. You would have listened to all the economists that last year that said we were going to have a recession this year. It doesn't look like the recession's coming, and they won't have to apologize. All we ever focus on is the negative data points. You won't hear people very often talk about the fact that retail sales are soaring again, that personal incomes are soaring. You don't hear people talking about the unemployment rate being.
Well, the Democrats say, though, that it's not looking good for the middle class. The Democrats say that, I got people working 3 jobs.
And the Democrats make it up because the economy is so good. I mean, what are they going to run against? I think they just wish people would not ask them about the economy because the economy is great. And the reality is that there are very, very few people that are doing anything except a side hustle to make a couple extra bucks, not because they have to, because they want to, and they make great money, or it's a job they love to do. Who doesn't want to do this thing two days a week and go take tickets and still get to watch the concert for free? I mean, lots of people do things like that.
You're talking about security guard Mike.
Right.
He's everywhere.
Right. Or a friend of mine, John Boy is his name. He does that kind of stuff all over the place and gets to watch sporting events. It's a neat thing for him.
Would you do that?
Would I? No. Too busy.
He's too busy. Coming up next, Governor Little and regulations. Dave Petzo will react next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Waking up on the right side, Dave Petzo, Kevin Miller. So, your friend, Governor Little.
Yes.
You're friends with all the governors.
I like the governors we've had.
I should take lessons from you on how to be nice to
I
people.
think you just got to be nice. Why not?
Right?
It doesn't matter if you agree with everything. Why would I think I would agree with everything with you?
Well,
That's
I don't
absurd.
agree with everything with me, and I'm me.
I don't agree with everything in my own head.
So this made Fox Business News. The governor, 6 months into his term, has cut or simplified 40% of Idaho regulations, setting up Idaho to be an example for other states and the federal government to follow. We've talked about this with the Trump administration. So here you have the Red Tape Reduction Act and Licensing Freedom Act of 2019. Boom. What do you make of it?
I make that we are doing a phenomenal job on the regulatory front. I mean, fantastic, and it really is paying dividends. Kevin, everybody wants to talk. The Democrats, of course, have nothing to run on the economy. They have nothing to run on anyway. I guess we want to run on oppression, which we have the freest country in the world for all races.
I
and
feel
genders.
oppressed. I feel oppressed.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I've been working on finding more offenses in life.
You could do that though. You go somewhere. And, you don't like me because I'm this. You don't like me because of that.
That's right. I just want to. If I go to college, I'll learn when I come out that how to be better prepared for oppression.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I can't figure it out. I can't figure out where to be oppressed. But anyway, the data is really strong out there, Kevin. I mentioned it before with retail sales, but GDP also was finally revised again, or the final revision came. We're up over 3% for the first quarter. Now, I just have to point out how wrong these folks are. When we're over 3% for the quarter and people are saying, well, I don't know, we think they'll be barely positive in the first quarter. 3% is a really good GDP print. It is not barely going. It is not back to the Obama plow horse, if you will. This is the barely growth era. This is very, very strong, and economists were calling for a slowdown. How dead wrong they are, constantly, but we still listen to them and we still propagate how bad the economy is. Yes, housing is weak in one area or another. Everything has mixed data, but what we have to point to are the underlying fundamentals. Rise above, take a look down, and say, how are and that's what you were asking about that. How do you stay away from the TV? You have to stay away from the TV to know. Yes, you have to read, you have to be keyed in. But knowing the things like personal income soaring over 5%, personal spending up over 4%, retail sales up over 10%, these are strong numbers. Period. How about not a comma but this time? Just period. That's it. This is strong. The economy's strong, and the regulations have a lot to do with it.
However, Dave
there's
Petzo,
your comma but. Don't comma but me, pal.
However, Dave Petzo, is Idaho friendly for business compared to our sister states?
No. There's.
Aha!
Yeah, rain on that parade, pal. Hey, I think that we are business friendly, but we're not in a taxed state. We're regulation wise, we're friendly, yes. Okay, and that matters. That's one of the reasons that Chobani and others came here, is because they were able to get here quickly, get through the red tape, and build a factory. Kevin, contrast that as they've never laid a bit of track on the high-speed rail, and it's over 10 years. They don't even have the permits done yet in California. That's the absurdity of a place like California. You can't do business, so people leave. You come to Idaho, and they say, can we build this factory? Yes. How quickly would you like to? We'd love to be up and operating in a year. Wow, that's pushing it. Well, let's get rid of the red tape. You guys built, and they do. And so that, in that sense, it is. But, Kevin, our tax rates are not low. We are not in a low tax area at all.
Let's talk about that next. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. So back to how business-friendly Idaho could be. Now, you travel a lot, right? You're, you have a second home in Seattle, perhaps a home on the Oregon coast. I don't know, and we're not going to go there. However, when we take a look at some of our sister states like a Montana or a Washington or an Oregon, how do we compare when we're talking about business taxes? Because I know this is a big issue for most businesses, big and small, here in Idaho.
Yeah, I look in Seattle. Obviously, it's hard to do business, but there's no state income tax either. So there are some advantages. Obviously, and different states have different advantages. But regulatory climate is a big one, and I don't want to dismiss that. I wish Idaho had a lower tax structure. We don't. But at the same time, by keeping regulations reasonable, Idaho allows for it to be called, if you will, somewhat business friendly. Okay, but Kevin, I working or being in these other states, I can't imagine how difficult it must be to do business in Portland and Seattle. The regulations are off the charts. I'm not there. I'm not trying to open a business. I'm there to see grandkids, but the problems that these places have with homelessness. God bless the Boise Rescue Mission. Seriously, Boise would be so different. I just don't think people have the appreciation of what Reverend Roscoe's done to alleviate that situation. And I certainly wish our city would give more credence and credit to them, because it's important. But those types of things, I didn't mean to change subjects, Kevin, but it's important to the overall climate of how people live and work, and those cities are a disaster right now, and regulations are very high.
Dave Petzo joining us. All right, let's talk gas prices. They expect to go up. They've gone up. They've gone down. In fact, you take a look at, I think this is the first time the world is producing more oil than ever before. Your thoughts on the gas prices as hard to believe, we're almost halfway through summer.
I know. Well, it's 4th of July week, right? Here we are.
One of the slowest weeks of the year.
I can't believe I'm awake. No, it is the slowest weeks of the year. It really is.
The people that listen to this show say that more than you'd be comfortable with, yes.
It's amazing how slow this week is. You're right. But anyway, we're halfway through this amazing year, and market is rip-roaring. What are we, up 17% year to date? Things are good, and I don't know how you have it any better right now, Kevin. I really don't. It's going good. But gas prices, come on. It's a small thing.
Not if you're in California. They expect two things going on in California. They're going to I think I got this story right. They're raising gas prices by another 6 cents per gallon, and I think they're going to require background checks for ammunition coming up.
But not if you're an illegal, I'm sure.
5.6 cents per gallon to 47.3 cents per gallon. That's the tax in the state of California as far as gas tax.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. They don't have any money, Kevin. All the businesses are leaving. The only people and of course now we want to offer health care to illegals. It's really something else. It's on non-taxpayer giveaways. Non-taxpayer giveaways are really rampant in California. I don't know when the tipping point is, but they're rapidly approaching it in California.
Yeah, and coming up, we'll address this. California gun owners rush to buy ammo. The state has some of the toughest gun laws in the nation. Amazing.
It is amazing, and of course, then we wind up with only the bad guys have guns. But we all feel better about it, don't we? Even if it doesn't do any good, it's all about feeling good, not actually doing good, right?
If you say so, Dave Petzo.
Well,
finally, your thoughts on America this week.
My thoughts on America. It's still the greatest nation on earth, and it's not even close. We still innovate and create everything that there is. It's amazing to me, whether it's arts, it's science, it's technology. We have the greatest corporations in the world, and I think we need to appreciate that and appreciate how great a nation this is. And instead of looking for offenses everywhere we can, it distorts our viewpoint of where we are and how happy we should be in life. We won the lottery, and the lottery, first of all, to be born in this time with all of the abundance that there is in the world. It's never been this abundant. I mean, for anybody, anywhere. And when you're actually born in America, you've won the lottery. It's amazing, and I think we should be more appreciative of that. And God bless those people who have come before us and created such an amazing nation and given us the life that we have. And I hope that people can stop and appreciate it this week. It's something we don't often do.
Yeah, especially all the socialists that came before us. Because without socialism, where would America be?
Where would we be?
Just kidding, everybody. Dave Petzo, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Thank you, David. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So, you're from California, you're living in Idaho, and you're worried about just how Second Amendment friendly the Gem State is. Well, thank goodness that you moved from California. And if, like a lot of people that I know and suspect, you're listening to this program from California on the KIDO Talk Radio app because you want to get a sense, a spice, a scouting report on what the Gem State is really like, what the Treasure Valley is really like, well, your ears are probably burning because, what is it, today? That's right, today, a new state law in California takes effect that will require almost all buyers to go through background checks before being able to buy bullets. That's right, bullets. Potentially increasing the amount of time it takes to make purchases. Time to go. Think about this. What that does to the value of ammunition. Quote, we're probably up 400% from where we were last year for this past month. And that is this month in total sales, says Daniel Cash. He's the store president of LAX Ammunition. What do you make of that? So here you have the wacky, zany Californians. By the way, didn't their governor, who's on the verge of bankruptcy, Gavin Newsom, declare free community college, free college for the illegals, and free health care for all the illegals? Great. How are you going to afford to pay for it, Gavin? Another issue. California has some of the toughest gun laws in the entire country. Did you know that California bans most assault weapons and restricts the sale and possession of large capacity magazines? There's also a 10-day waiting period prior to the sale or transfer of a firearm, among other restrictions. So what was this called? Proposition 63. A gun control measure approved coincidentally by 63% of California voters in 2016 will strengthen those laws by taking aim at ammo. So this was a tactic by President Obama. You remember old Obama? He couldn't get to the guns, so he wanted to take down and destroy the ammo. And by the way, if you had a gun store, whether it was in Idaho or across the country, Obama was good for business. Obama was like the best ever for business. And now today in California, they're trying to tax you out of your ammunition and a waiting period for ammunition. Craziness, right? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. In other news of the day, people are continuing to talk about President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
We got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor.
You have a president who seems to love authoritarian people.
I have no idea why he's shaking hands with a dictator who just in May was sending missiles into the Sea of Japan. You don't reward that kind of behavior with a visit to your country from the President of the United States.
Even those who dislike this president are going to have to give him credit. This is what he said when he talked about the art of the deal, that this could make America and the world fundamentally different for the next century.
This shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be an American issue. It's a dangerous situation. We need to engage in diplomacy to resolve it.
You don't have to say positive things about brutal dictators. You should sit down and negotiate with them. In the case of North Korea, if we can get rid of nuclear weapons there and their missile system, which is a threat to Europe and to the United States, that would be a very good thing.
And there we have it, the President of the United States making news again and again and again, meeting with Kim Jong-un, and you had the leader of South Korea calling him the new ambassador of peace. Now you're going to have the crazy, wacky, zany, loony, lefty libs, the devious little libs, as we like to call them, saying this is horrible, that this is bad, that you don't meet with dictators. Okay, let's go back to Obama's policy. How did that work out with North Korea? You're a bad North Korea. We're going to punish you. You're a good North Korea. You make a bunch of fake, phony promises that you don't stand up to. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, George Bush, all the Bushes. No one could solve the riddle of the hidden hermit kingdom.
Kim Jong-un was very receptive. He responded, and so we'll see. Because tomorrow we're going to the DMZ. I said, while I'm there, I'll shake his hand.
If you Excellency take a step forward, you will be the first U.S. president to cross this line. It is good to see you again. I've never expected to meet you at this place.
And that was good old Kim, right? President making big moves. His opponent saying he's coddling the dictators. Two topics we'll talk about, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Back to the idea of taxing people out of ammunition, raising new prices on ammunition, and here you have Democratic Governor of California, a longtime advocate of gun control, saying that raising, not only the prices of ammunition, but allowing a background check for ammunition is meant to protect the public by keeping ammunition from getting into dangerous hands, according to the state. Here's how it works. Customers will receive a background check every time they make an ammunition purchase, paying $1 each time. Those who don't have their information in the Department of Justice's system for those point-of-sale screenings will have to pay $20 for an initial screening. You ever notice when the government tries to do something, it always costs us more? Hey, this is for your own good, that'll be $20. Hey, this is for your own good, but that'll be $50. Hey, this will be your own good. I know you got your driver's license renewed, but we're going to do this new thing called the Star Card. So you need to come up with all these types of documents, and you're going to have to stand in line again and pay for your driver's license one more time. Now, if you're a vendor, you'll have to make sure customers aren't on the Department of Justice list that names people who have are prohibited from buying guns for various reasons. For example, committing a felony before selling to them. So they're going to try to keep the bad people away. Good luck with that. And finally, for this segment, just something that really resonates at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And this issue involving who will and who won't lead the Republican Party. Now, over the weekend, we had the big announcement, the return of Congressman Labrador. In fact, it's Raul's party now. He is the new chairman of the state Republican Party. In a vote 111 to 109, he beat retired state school superintendent Tom Luna. The Liberty people, the conservative people are very happy. But what does that mean for the future of the Republican Party. Will the congressman get along with the governor? Remember in the past, our great friend Barry Peterson, and if you don't remember Barry Peterson, one of the staunchest conservatives ever to hold that mantle, said, quote unquote, to the Idaho Statesman that at the time, then Governor Otter expects me to bend over for him. Those were his words exactly. He said it on this radio station. So there's always been a tension between the state Republican Party and its chairman or its leadership. Now you have the conservatives saying that they have one of their own in, that they have Congressman Labrador. Now, Congressman Labrador will have to travel the state, as did his predecessors, building a coalition, a conservative coalition that perhaps could strengthen the liberty/conservative movement at the expense of the establishment folks that have all the money. Some people say it's about time. Some believe that Congressman Labrador should be the governor. Some believe that if not for Tommy Alquist, Congressman Labrador would be Governor Labrador. We'll have to see. I'm interested to see how the human dynamics play out between the relationship between the people within the party, and you have people in Ada County, a very dysfunctional branch of the Republican Party. They're the whole Central Committee and the like. You have conservative Canyon County that seems to be the stalwart, the example for the state. And then you have other people saying, we don't want to become the city of Boise. So whether it was Steve Yates, Jonathan Parker, others, Barry Peterson, Norm Semenko, Steve Yates, whomever else, it's been a very difficult run. Now you have a former congressman running the thing. How will that play out? And could we see the congressman using this as a stepping stone, as his predecessor, Mr. Yates, did, to run for office? Perhaps running for governor again. Perhaps running for Congress, either against Congressman Fulcher or Congressman Simpson, or because I don't believe you have to live in the district to run, or perhaps against Mike Crapo, Jim Risch, or he sits there and, as Russ Fulcher did before him, continue to build up his contingency, build up his army, build up his following, and strengthen this, just as we recommended that he do several weeks ago or several months ago in a blog that we wrote on KIDO Talk Radio concerning Raul's next move. And this will get people talking. Speaking of which, I guess the Paulette Jordan documentary will be played at the Egyptian Theater this week, and area Democrats are very happy about this. What's it titled? How to Lose an Election? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
If you enter or remain in the roadway, you may be subject to arrest for disorderly conduct, interfering with a police officer, and other state and city offenses. If you remain in the roadway and show the intent to engage in physical resistance to removal, or if emergency circumstances require, you may be subject to uses of force, including riot control agents and impact weapons.
Wow, what a way to wake up the morning. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. You know, we have a segment called Thank Goodness We Live in Idaho. Thank goodness we're not Portland. So here you have the Portland branch of the Antifa folks and the conservative folks known as the Proud Boys, a fraternal organization known for street fighting, decided to go after it. And by the way, organized by conservative activist Haley Adams and the Him Too movement, had a throwdown in the Rose City where Antifa and the Proud Boys had a giant street fight. Portland police say 3 sites, Pioneer Square, Chapman Square, and Waterfront Park, were involved in this. And you take a look at just what we're hearing about this. 3 people arrested. And is this any way to really run a city, run a state? I mean, how embarrassing it must be. And we don't want to beat up on our friends in Oregon, but here's the scorecard. Here's the scorecard if you live in Portland or if you're part of the state of Oregon. You have fights being taken to the streets where people are physically beaten in Portland. You have the senators on the run. Now they're back. And the Democrats are angry that they didn't get cap and trade, climate, the ability to run out the timber industry done. I guess it all comes back to leadership. In Idaho, you have Brad Little. In Portland, you have Kate Brown. Your pick. Liberty Linda joins us now. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Good morning, Kevin. Kevin, do you think that Biden will choose Obama as his vice president?
Michelle?
What do you think?
Michelle Obama?
No, I mean Obama again.
No, I don't think that Obama would be second to anybody.
Yes. Maybe Michelle Obama. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about her, but I wouldn't be surprised. I know that Obama cannot run for president again, but I think he can run as vice president. I don't think there's anything wrong with that in our country. But I was thinking about it. What if they are actually going to get together again if Biden wins it?
I think the Democratic Party is too liberal for either Biden or Obama. And I think Biden. That's what we should call him. Biden. He's running a smart strategy. If he can get through the primary, which is a big deal, he has the best chance to defeat Donald Trump because he's not polarizing. He's not a wacko. He's not a nut. He's not angry. On the other hand, he's Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, I think he's had a complete makeover too. He looked really good the other day after the debate. He looked really good. So I think he's gone through a whole makeup thing. And anyway, this is very interesting what's going on in our country. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about Raul Labrador and Tommy Alquist. We may have had him as governor. Yeah.
Well, what do you make of that? The congressman has returned, and his short vacation, exile from the political arena is done. He's back.
Right. And I think he said, I'll be back.
Well, you have to wonder what he's going to run for.
This is... Well, it's amazing to watch what's going on in our country. I think Biden's the only one.
I think it's amazing you ducked that question.
Just sit back and watch, and then of course our president is out doing everything that's good for our country. And I truly believe we wouldn't have a country today if it wasn't for President Trump. I truly believe that. And anyway, you and Tommy Alquist, need to run together after President Trump steps down after this next election.
I think Tommy's too busy with world domination, but I have passed that along that he would be the George Washington and I would be the plump Sam Adams or John Adams.
We love you any way you are.
Well, we appreciate that, Liberty Linda. So would you like to see the congressman run again?
Raul's a good guy. I wasn't, obviously, I think he would be much better than some others. So certainly if he wanted to run, that would be fine. Anyway, our politics today is so interesting. We have to be glued to the radio and the television all the time because every second there's something else going on in our country. And all I can say is I want to keep our country, the country that was given to us by George Washington, by all of the others, and keep our Constitution. And anyway, that's what I want to see. And, we're shaking in our boots out here, wondering if we're going to be able to do that.
Well, Liberty Linda, that's why we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to go over the people that call us bad names because they want to marginalize us. They want to get rid of us. And once they do, it's over. We are the watchers on the wall, the keepers on the flame. We are the last in line, the tripwire of liberty right here.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely, Kevin. And your listeners have to stay there glued to what's going on in our country to save our country. So thank you for all you do, Kevin.
God bless you, Liberty Linda. We miss you.
You as well. Okay. We'll be up for all those parties.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Coming up next, Lars Larson. But before that, Fox News and a little thing we like to call traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning, Dave. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up next, a review of what happened in Portland. You've got Antifa on one side, the Proud Boys on the other. Is this any way to run a city? Thank goodness we live in Idaho where we celebrate unabashedly the greatest state, the greatest country in the world. You know, Idaho, a microcosm of America. Everybody moving to Idaho, just like everybody trying to move to America. Good morning.